You know, high cholesterol. For so many people, that diagnosis is almost immediately followed by a prescription for a statin. It's practically automatic. But what if that's just putting a Band-Aid on a symptom and not fixing the real problem? Today, we're going to dive into a case study that really challenges everything you think you know about cholesterol, and we're going to do it by following one patient's incredible journey. So let's meet our main character. This is Vijay. At 41 years old, he was dealing with some health issues that are, frankly, super common. He got a very standard diagnosis, a very standard treatment plan, but where his story goes from there, well, that is anything but standard. And it's a story that's going to ask us to look a little bit deeper. All right, so to really get why the ending of this story is so amazing, we have to understand the beginning. Let's take a look at how Vijay got to his diagnosis in the first place. Now, this timeline, does this look familiar to anyone? It's a path a lot of us can relate to. It really started back in his younger years. We're talking high-carb diet, not enough sleep, the usual stuff. By the time he hit 31, that led to some serious weight gain. A year after that, boom, a hypertension diagnosis. And then, at 39, the big one for our story today, high cholesterol. You can see it, right? It's just this slow, steady progression of things going wrong metabolically. So with those two big diagnoses, he walks out of the doctor's office with a very, very standard prescription. Amlodipine for the blood pressure and atorvastatin, yep, a statin to get that cholesterol number down. On top of that, he was just feeling crummy, body pain, always tired. And this is textbook modern medicine, right? You've got a problem? Here's a pill. Problem solved. Case closed. Or was it? This is the moment where the story just takes a complete U-turn, because Vijay's team decided to ask a totally different question, a question that meant they had to rethink the role of cholesterol itself. And here it is. This is the big question. I mean, think about it. For decades, we've been taught that cholesterol is the bad guy, the thing to fear. But what if it isn't the one committing the crime? What if it's more like a witness at the scene of the crime? Just a signpost telling us that something else, something deeper is going wrong inside our bodies. So to get this, we just need a super quick biology lesson. I promise, it's painless. Cholesterol is a fat, right? And our blood is mostly water. Oil and water, they don't mix. So for cholesterol to get around, it needs a ride. It needs a kind of transport vehicle. And that vehicle has a name, a lipoprotein. Now this is where it gets really interesting. This analogy is just fantastic. Think of LDL, the so-called bad cholesterol, as a delivery truck. Its job is absolutely essential. It's delivering fresh cholesterol from your liver out to all your cells so they can build their walls and make hormones. You literally need it to live. Then you've got HDL, the good stuff. Think of HDL as the cleanup crew. Its job is to go around, collect any extra cholesterol that's lying around, and haul it back to the liver to be disposed of. So you see, it's not as simple as good versus bad. They're just two different parts of a really critical system. Okay, so if LDL cholesterol isn't the main villain, then who is? This question sent Vijay's team on a kind of investigation, a hunt to find the real culprits behind all his health problems. So instead of just obsessing over that one LDL number, they started looking at a whole different lineup of suspects. And this is the list of what they considered the real potential causes of heart disease. Things like high triglycerides, low levels of that HDL cleanup crew, and more importantly, things like way too many carbs, insulin resistance, and chronic simmering inflammation. These are clues that point to a much, much deeper problem. So, armed with this new list of suspects, they went back to the evidence. They dug deep into Vijay's lab work, looking for clues that maybe had been missed the first time around. And they found something right away. Clue number 1, his fasting insulin was high, really high. What does that mean? It means his body was just pumping out tons and tons of insulin to try and deal with all the sugar in his diet. It's the classic sign of insulin resistance, which is a major driver of almost all metabolic diseases. Then came clue number 2. A marker in his blood called hsCRP was raised. Now, this has nothing to do with cholesterol. It is a direct measurement of inflammation in your body. It was basically a giant flashing sign that his whole system was under chronic stress. It was, so to speak, on fire. And a third major clue, elevated homocysteine, Okay, so this is an amino acid, and when it gets too high, it becomes a huge independent risk factor for heart attacks. It was also a strong signal that there were some key nutritional deficiencies going on, probably not enough B vitamins.
So, when you put all those clues together, the picture becomes crystal clear. The high cholesterol wasn't the disease, it was just a symptom. The real diseases, the root causes, were actually insulin resistance, chronic inflammation, and some very specific nutritional gaps. So, if you've got a completely different diagnosis, well, you're going to need a completely different game plan, right? And their new approach was built on these 4 pillars, all designed to fix those root causes we just talked about. First, huge dietary changes, specifically cutting way back on the carbs. Second, targeted supplements to fix those nutritional deficiencies. Third, lifestyle changes. We're talking specific exercises and managing stress. And finally, number 4, they had to completely rethink his medications. And this was probably the most radical part of the entire plan. Based on this new understanding, they stopped the statin. Cold turkey. Gone. Instead of adding more pills, they took one away. Not only that, they cut his blood pressure medication in half because they were confident that if they fixed the underlying problems, his numbers would start to get better all on their own. I mean, think about how bold this plan was. They were going to treat high cholesterol by stopping the cholesterol medication. So, what happened? Did it work? Let's jump forward 10 months and see the results.
The transformation is, well, it's just stunning. Just look at this. Before, he was on statins and blood pressure meds. After 10 months, he was on 0 medications. None. His BMI went from the overweight category down to normal, and his symptoms, that body pain and fatigue that plagued him, completely gone. And what about those key lab markers, the real culprits we talked about, the insulin and the inflammation? They all improved dramatically. He didn't just lower a number on a lab report. He actually started to reverse the conditions.
Now, Vijay's story is incredible, for sure. But it's way more than just one person's success story. It really offers a powerful lesson for every single one of us. And this quote, it just nails the core idea. The whole objective shifted. It went from just managing a number, his LDL cholesterol, to actually reversing the disease processes that were causing all the trouble in the first place. That's a huge shift in thinking, from just managing symptoms to finding a real lasting solution. And this is the bottom line, the most important takeaway. When Vijay fixed the root causes, when he addressed that insulin resistance and that chronic inflammation, the symptoms basically took care of themselves. His blood pressure normalized, his cholesterol panel improved, his body, once they gave it the right conditions, just started to heal itself. You know, Vijay's entire journey started because his team was willing to ask one simple question. Why? Why was his cholesterol high? Why was his blood pressure up? It really challenges all of us to do the same. So the question I want to leave you with is this. What are the deeper questions you could be asking about your own health, beyond just the numbers on the surface?